Hi everyone, welcome back. I'm with Heather Hale, who's a personal stylist, and she's in the studio today and she's going to talk to me about everything ADHD and about what she does. She works as a personal stylist for all sorts of people, for mums, for men, for women, for executives. In fact, I've just had the privilege of 2 hours, perhaps a little bit more of her time in my wardrobe, and I can't wait for Heather to take me shopping because she's going to solve my lifelong problem, I'm hoping. So, Heather, tell us about your story. When did you discover you were ADHD?
Well, only about 2 years ago now. So just before I turned 40. And so I think, and really at that time, probably here in New Zealand, where it was becoming more easier information to access around it. And so it was in the conversations, and it got me thinking, like when friends had been diagnosed and were getting support that way, I was like, gosh, this is sounding quite familiar. And I'm looking back and this is making quite a bit of sense of a few things with my journey in my career and in my personal life and in my childhood. And so I started exploring that. And then when I finally had the appointment and got diagnosed, I was like, this makes a lot of sense. And yeah, it's been a real gift actually to have that knowledge. And then to be able to work with that knowledge as opposed to having all of these questions about why I haven't done things a certain way like everyone else. Yeah.
So I'd love to unpackage that. And I'm going, do we talk about the gift first, or do we talk about the why I haven't done things a certain way? And
well, we can jump around because we do that.
We do that really well.
Yeah.
So I'm really keen to hear about the gift that you found.
Probably the greatest gift has been the kindness that I can then show myself and show younger Heather. And it's been a definite choice that I've made to lean into that grief for younger Heather and go, that makes a lot of sense now, why you didn't do things in that more common way. Yeah, and really choosing to feel really sad and not skip over it. You can change the way you do some things because now you know and you've got these tools, but also you can be really kind to yourself and not have that story anymore of, well, you just didn't apply yourself for some reason. Maybe you're lazy, maybe you're not as clever at that, or maybe you're not as gifted as you think in that area. And the trouble was, I knew that I was capable, but I couldn't apply myself in the way that was instructed, or the natural way of things, university, and then a career path. And yeah, I just thought there was something wrong with me and why I wasn't doing it that way. And now the kindness is there of like, well, you did it anyway. With a lot of grit and determination, and you found your own path by muddling through, and you've landed in a really great place. Yeah. So.
Oh, Heather, that's you've hit a chord, and hearing you flip gift that way is really powerful. And it makes me feel very emotional too, because I really recognize that journey of, young Sandy was kind of feeling like she was all over the show and couldn't fit in. And so she worked really hard to fit in. In fact, I can remember I had an internal mantra that was going, I hope they like me. I hope they like me. And I would try and be the person who was likable.
Yeah, wow.
As opposed to who I really was, because I hadn't worked out who that was.
Yeah.
And I now know, thank goodness, after a lot of years of work. But so your gift is to be able to really connect to the younger you.
Yes.
And actually show her that kindness.
Yeah. I think it's released a lot in me, like of feeling even more accomplished in the things that I have done, because I'm like, I did that despite, those barriers and those struggles. And also I've done it my way. And so that's felt very genuine as well. So I'm able to recognize that and go, the way I've done things is different to others, but it's been genuine because that was the only way I could operate, because I didn't fit into the normal like trajectory.
Yeah.
And so, yeah.
Yeah.
But your story too must be interesting. I'm fascinated by how, because you knew a lot earlier on, and so
I did, but I masked it, Heather. I literally was so freaked out as I was an HR manager, and I knew the conscious and the unconscious bias around it. And also it was a different era.
yes,
A very different
Yeah.
era. So back in the day when my son was diagnosed, and then I recognized his diagnosis and thought, oh gosh, that's me, and got a diagnosis. It was just not something anyone talked about. No one was talking about it at all.
Yeah.
And I promised myself that one day I'd write about it, not thinking that at that point in time it would be common knowledge and that it would be in everyone's vernacular ADHD. Not that it's necessarily understood correctly, but it is something that everyone's talking
it's a
about
discussion now. And I feel like really fortunate about that I live in this time where it's not going to be another 20 years until I work it out. And I look back and I think, gosh, I wish I'd known this in my teens because it would have looked very different. Yeah, I can't imagine going through this experience as alone as you must have been. Like that really breaks my heart for you, because I'm on this journey with friends, and people like yourself, and we get to thrash it out and we get to muddle along together. And I can't imagine it being this obscure thing that only I'm dealing with.
Yeah.
It's quite different.
I did have my friends who I could share it with, and I had a psychologist who was amazing, really amazing, and I had not a lot of knowledge, but I was doing my master's in education at the time, and so I had lots of resources and I had access to resources, so I used that. But yes, the masker in me was firmly in place. But the masker in me had been firmly in place from my childhood because my mother was Asperger's, and she required me to operate in a very black and white way. And I didn't see the world as black and white. I saw it as grey.
Yeah.
And so I knew that in order to get her love, I needed to operate according to her rules. So I'd learnt those. So I'd already learnt to mask. And the other side of me had slowly kind of worked its way into a different form. So it's quite funny actually, because sometimes I describe it as being split, but I'm definitely not split now. But, there was a part of me that could just follow the rules and work out intuitively what they were, and my empathic part did that, and then the other part that just literally followed the rules. And I think that that's part of the high empathy that an ADHD person has that became overly developed in me.
Yes.
But I've learnt to see that now as a total gift, because it allowed me to have a very successful career by working out what was needed in the situation and then being that. And that hasn't been to my disadvantage.
No, not at all.
But now that it's all unraveled, I can't do it anymore.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, because I guess you'd have that masking that you would develop and do. And also, like now we have, because there's so much conversation around it, we can be very unmasked and sort of it looks familiar to people, or, there's that. But, I feel very fortunate to have this kind of seasoned do it and work it out. Yeah.
It's so fascinating because it reminds me, see, my older brother's gay and he grew up in a country where it was illegal to be gay for a long time.
Yeah.
And then he was in his, I think it was his 50s when it became legal, and he's now, I'm not sure exactly what the era was, but he spent more of his life not being able to be open and be out than he can be out. And so it's still like a thing. And I think I had that co-relationship with him around that too. And I just love the tremendous freedom now being able to be out about the fact I'm ADHD and it doesn't matter anymore.
Yeah.
Tell me more too about the way you do things and how it's helped you understand that and recognize that.
Like within my work?
Yeah.
Yeah. So because I've been styling for 20 years and mostly along that journey for myself, I started out working for another stylist, and we did that for a few years, and it was amazing. It was the best start to my career, and we worked really well together. But as a working for myself, as you know, you set your own schedule and your own timing, and so I'd go out with a client, and I could very quickly pivot if I didn't think we were going down the right track or in the wrong space. We could, jump around and go there. So it's really interesting to look back now and see how that has really suited my personality type.
Yeah.
Not knowing really that was almost not exclusively, but it really is my perfect way to work. Because like we were talking about earlier, not many businesses are set up for people like us that need that kind of space to pivot or that flexibility or to be able to jump around a bit. Yeah. And so I look back now and I see that made a lot of sense, that's what I was doing.
Yeah.
And it wasn't until in the last few years of being working for a company that I realized I wasn't able to sit down and write emails for 2 hours without getting up to go and do something else that had taken my interest, or just move my body, or like I just couldn't stare at a computer for that long. And even though it was doing work that I enjoyed, I just couldn't focus like that because it didn't hold my attention for long enough. And that all happened at the same time of sort of discovering my ADHD. And then when I started my medications, I could suddenly sit down and have that quiet brain and work away for a couple of hours, which I knew that I was capable of. I just couldn't find a way to do it. And then that has helped immensely as well. So, you know, that's been interesting.
A lot of ADHD people I know, male and female, gender diverse, all had this nuance around clothing. And clothing's really important to us, whether it's the fabric we wear or the cut of the fabric or the aesthetics of clothing. Actually, there is a thing that we have in common around having a clothing nuance. And as a stylist and someone who has got great taste, can I just say, incredible taste and a great way of working, you must have some real insights into the psychology of clothing.
Yes, definitely. And it's really interesting because there is the kind of rules of clothing and there's the way that clothing makes us feel.
Yes.
And being a stylist, you kind of mesh the two together because you're relying on those fundamentals that build a great outfit or make people feel like their body is at its best in certain clothing. But then the feelings come into it and they can override a good strategic kind of placed outfit. And or they can enhance it. And so the two are kind of always playing together and then sometimes fighting. So there's lots of kind of magic that comes into it actually, because the clothing has to work for that person's style personality. That is my biggest driver, is how they see themselves in those clothes. Does it match their version of who they want to be perceived as? That's the biggest thing. And then within that look, we use rules to make sure that the clothing is sitting in a way that the eye likes, and the eye likes unevenness. So there's all these rules around scale, and that includes print and hemlines and volume. And so we're using both. But it's interesting what you say around the sensations and feelings of clothing. It's such a big thing. It's quite big across the board, but it's particularly big in ADHD brains, and also autism, like, and anyone that's got a kind of sensory a sensory overload, trigger that can go off. For me, I'm like you. I like natural fibers against my skin, and any kind of nylon thread is going to irritate. I can't have it in the stitching even. And I'm actually hypersensitive to water evaporating off my skin.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So I, for years, have had to take antihistamines every day.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, just to get through, really, because otherwise as soon as any moisture is on my skin and it dries itself, I will get itchy. And so but it's linked to my like nerves and neurons firing and everything in the brain, and then the gut link as well. So there's all that play.
There's a lot there, isn't there? There's so many parts. Like I can't wear the old analog watches because I've got so much electricity in my system that they would all die on me, and that's anything synthetic just sets me off as a staticky. beacon and my hair starts standing on end, and then I feel physically irritated and uncomfortable.
And then you can't think straight.
No.
Yeah, because
No.
it's too noisy in there with all that going on.
And the nightmare is that, you're already trying to sit down at a desk in an office and concentrate. And then you've got synthetic carpet, false lighting, and a whole lot of factors all layered on top of each other, which make it a complete nightmare.
Yeah, it's really, really hard. And so you take all of that into consideration with clothing, particularly for people with those sensory issues. And it can get fiddly, can get tricky.
Yeah.
But those things are really important. They're really important to have as fundamentals to building the wardrobe. So I always find those out with people. And that's why I always start in the wardrobe, because I can see very clearly what kind of things they're buying and wearing in high rotation. And it'll be often based on the feel of a fabric. And it's quite interesting too how, clothes are so powerful.
They really are.
And a lot of people want to write them off as not important because they think it's, a little bit silly or a little bit materialistic. But I've got no doubt in my mind, and there are studies as well done. I was just reading one actually this week out of Columbia about how the way we behave in clothing that not only feels good on us sensory-wise, but makes us feel like we're projecting who we are and who we want to be perceived as. We behave differently, just automatically out the door. We behave differently. We hold ourselves differently. And then others treat us based on how we're behaving and holding ourselves and our mood that comes out and our energy that we give off when we're feeling really good. And not just good as in like, I look good. I feel appropriate. I feel up to date. I feel relevant. All of those things affect us and the people around us so hugely that there's just no way you can deny the power of clothing.
It's so true. I think that old adage of I'm much nicer when I like my outfit.
Yeah.
But also the fact that people make a decision about us within 30 seconds of meeting us. So, and a lot of that is to do with the way we're dressed. And if we look like we're dressed appropriately for the role that we're in at the time, I've always known that in my work, if I'm not dressed appropriately, it's really hard for me to seem credible.
Yes.
Because I'm therefore not looking like I know what I'm talking about, even though I may very well know what I'm talking about if I don't look right.
That's right.
And it puts me out of context.
100%. I always really drill this in with my clients who are teachers or need to engage a team to get on board with what they're saying, no matter what kind of role they're in. If they're leading and people have to listen to them and respond in a way that is like to get on board with that or to learn a new thing, you have to look up to date. It's just your job to.
It is, otherwise you look like you're out of touch with the latest, most emergent knowledge.
That's right. And so if you don't look like you're up to date, no matter what you say, someone's already decided that you're a bit behind. And so it's not even just whether you like that outfit or not. If you're in that role, it's a tool. It's a tool that you have to use, and it's really key. And it's interesting for people with ADHD because we're always scanning for people's responses and the mood of the room and how people are feeling.
Yes.
It's, and you would have had this experience where you go in and if they're not responding to how you look straight away in a way that's open and inquisitive and curious and they shut down, man, it is hard to get them back. And you're watching them and you're feeling it and it distracts you over here and you're going, I've lost them because it's like,
Yeah, 100%. And it's been fascinating to me that I've always observed that over the entire course of my career. And I didn't link the two together. I didn't understand about the number of mirror neurons we have because it wasn't information that was readily available. So you were talking there about that ability to sort of read the situation, read your clients, and then it helps you inform style.
Yeah.
And you have a style personality model as well.
Yes. So
Tell us about that.
I mean, it's kind of like it comes down to formulas, right?
Yeah.
And so, because when I'm with a client, I want to give them as many tools as I can.
Yeah.
And if I can sort of box those kind of lessons into things that then they can just use and recall. And so, I mean, I never want for a client to only ever be able to go shopping with me, you know, for the rest of their life and not feel empowered to do it themselves. So it's all about how much can I impart to them and give them to use. And so, you know, and I was taught this when I was did my study for personal styling. And it's sort of the kind of foundational style personalities. And I've just sort of tweaked them over the years and added to them and pulled bits out. And it's really just, it's your personality through your clothing. So your style personality is not obscure to you in any way. Like it would be very unusual to have a very creative outer style personality and then match that with someone who isn't great with people or spending a lot of time with friends or, you know, isn't very warm and engaging. Like the two wouldn't really go together. So it's a reflection of you. So it's great to go into someone's home and you see their living space and you see their wardrobe and you can very much ascertain it from that, really. And generally it's going to their wardrobe and going, what are you wearing the most? And there's really a theme running there. And so a style personality you've got usually made up of like a kind of couple of them. So you've got your fundamental ones like a natural or a classic, and then maybe an elegant would fit into there. And then there's the more sort of flamboyant ones on top, so creative or alluring or romantic, dramatic. And so we're kind of usually made up of two. So that one at the start might be you might be a natural. I would probably say a natural creative. So a natural is really driven by fiber and the way clothing feels. It's really important to them, and they don't want things to be too fussy. It's about getting the clothes on and that they feel good. And so someone who is a natural through and through, and that's their just dominating style personality, you really notice them because they do feel very at home in their clothing, and it all just looks very easy and lived in, but it also looks put together. Someone who's a natural but not by choice, they look a bit stuck in a natural, like, you know, it's just kind of their thing they've fallen into. And a lot of people I work with, they're living in a sort of natural style personality, but it's not really where they want to be. It's just that everything else has gotten a bit hard. And so there's naturals and then there's naturals. And then with you just going through your wardrobe and chatting, got all that beautiful print and color in there, and you've gathered, you know, over the years. And
maybe I like the dopamine of retail therapy as well.
Well, that's a whole nother thing, isn't it? You know, like there's the dopamine dressing, you know, that is a term. There's a new one that I'm really enjoying called wearapy. So it's like,
that's a great term.
Yeah, it's really good. And it's using our outfits as a bit of like personal therapy for like how we
like, does that apply for when you get home after a long day and you just like put on the most snuggliest, most comfortable outfit and jump on the couch with a nice warm cuppa and chill?
100%. That's you like regulating at the end of the day and going, I need to take off all of these bits that I've enjoyed today because they've made me feel pulled together. But now I need comfort. And so, wearapy is a really interesting concept. I really like it, and diving more into that. So the style personalities, so you would fit into a creative, and each day you are adapting your outfits to how you feel and how you want to project yourself that day. But also, like, there would come a lot into that of how you want to be with your client, and that would be your ADHD brain coming into that as well. So you might have someone who's a natural creative like you, and their driver is how they feel that day, what personality they're taking on. And then for you, you've got that added element of you're also concerned about how your client is going to feel around you. So you're scanning in multiple ways.
That's fascinating. So Heather's an incredible guru at this, and the way she works, because she brings you in to your wardrobe and introduces you to it in a way that you hadn't realized. So you worked out a whole bunch of formulas that I was following that I'd figured out unconsciously over the years, just thinking, I think that shape fits me. But actually, it's more that it makes me feel comfortable in that style. And you worked out that there were several themes going on that I hadn't really noticed before.
That you repeated.
Yeah, that I repeated, and because they were successful. But also I said to her, I can't understand why one day I can feel really good in an outfit and the next day the same outfit just makes me feel super uncomfortable.
Yeah.
And you're starting to help me unpackage this, because it's all about what's appropriate for what. And I used to always think that I was such a materialist that I was this way. But actually I'm leaning into the reality that having these different ways of presenting myself is not masking, it's actually being appropriate for the setting and for what I'm doing at the time, so that I fit and it's comfortable.
Yes.
Because if it doesn't work, it's super uncomfortable.
Definitely.
It's horrible wearing the wrong outfit in the wrong situation.
Oh, yeah.
It's excruciating.
It is. It's a nightmare. Like, you cannot get away from feeling it's like so
You're
invasive.
stuck. Yeah.
But I think what you've done is you've used it as a real tool, which is great. And I think people do, but maybe they don't recognize it. And that you love your clothing on many levels. You know, you love it as
not too much.
so it brings you joy.
Yeah, it
you
does.
know, and you look at these things and they hold memories.
Yeah.
And they bring you joy, and then you also use them as a toolkit in your job to make sure people know you're relevant and what you're saying is relevant and up to date. So you're doing that. And you're also using it to bring people into your environment and make sure they feel comfortable. So it's multifaceted.
I think it's multifaceted what you do and what you bring into the situation. It's such a good investment for someone to make in themselves to have a session with you. I'm starting to sound like you're hype girl now, but
I don't mind it.
Literally, it helps you understand what you've been unconsciously doing, because you come to a restyle store to buy an outfit, and sometimes you've got great staff in there, and I've met many amazing retailers over the years, but there is a real art to working out what the right look is for what you're doing. I'm often envious of my dog because he doesn't have to get dressed. And he looks at me when I'm going into a changing room in a retail store going, what are you doing? Because it's foreign to him. Yeah, that's okay. I have to hang around. Oh my goodness, are there going to be treats? But in reality, we are far more comfortable when we like our outfit and when we know what we're doing. And you're able to help interpret that for people. That is a gift. It's an absolute gift.
Yeah, thank
but
you.
It's a classic ADHD gift when I think about it, because that nuance of all your rich mirror neurons being able to help work that out for people, and the aestheticism and the creative part.
Yes. And it's interesting, particularly working with women at my age and stage as well, because that throws another whole thing into the mix of, hormones and our bodies changing. And so having that empathy, I think, has always served me well. And I've been very fortunate. I started styling at 22, and I hadn't had children at that time, and my body had never really betrayed me in ways that I hadn't given it permission to. All of these things. And I was so fortunate that women trusted me and took me on that journey with them. And it was a really generous gift they gave me of being that vulnerable place with me. And I've always felt very privileged going into women's wardrobes, because it is a sacred place.
It is.
It holds so much emotion, vulnerability. And so I've always held it very highly, that place. And in a changing room also is the same. That is a really intimate, vulnerable place for people.
It is. People feel super out of comfort zone.
Totally. And so having that radar for them and how they're feeling, and then that journey and seeing then my own. And so I knew what I was doing because I had the rules. And then as I've experienced my own physical journey over 20 years, and now through perimenopause and babies and things, I look back and I think, wow, gosh, that was such a gift they gave me of letting me be a part of that with them. And now I know even more. And so I have even more empathy for what women are going through. And so, to be able to interpret for them and give them those tools, like the rules around dressing for their body and their style personality. And love being able to do that, because I think it's not everyone's set of eyes. You know, it's not like, I don't pretend to be a mechanic or an electrician or an IT guru or any of those things. And so women particularly will really be hard on themselves if they don't feel they know how to dress themselves.
It's really true. And there's another element here that I'd like to add in and ask you about, which is aging. So obviously relevant to me, 65, turning 66 this month. And the reason I talk about it is that often people say, well, don't say that out loud. And I'm like, oh, but this is my age and I'm really comfortable and I'm pleased to be where I'm at in my life at this point in time.
You got here.
And to me, age is a gift. I've got friends who haven't made it who I miss dearly. And so for me, every day is a gift. And having had a cancer battle as well, it really is a gift.
Yes.
But also there's a thing that happens to any gender, actually. It's not a feminine issue.
No,
but
it's not only.
where we can start to disappear. And I don't want to.
No.
And I don't want to because I think I've got something really relevant to share. And so making sure I don't disappear, but that I dress in a way that is appropriate is also key, because otherwise I won't be heard. And I've got a lovely friend. She's actually a little older than me now. And she said to me, when you walk into a room, never disappear. And I thought, wow, that is so powerful. That is so true. And I say that because our younger people need us.
Yes.
Not that I think I'm better or smarter, but they need us to help them and to believe in them and to support them and to do all of those things.
And you have what they don't have.
And so I consider myself in a unique position of, humbly in the unique, of privilege that I have life still and I want to use it appropriately.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And as age is so relevant when it comes to how you dress.
Yeah. Oh, definitely.
I grew up in an era that had a formula that as you aged, you didn't want to be mutton dressed as lamb, is the terms that were used. But and it's obviously not like that in the same way, but still there are rules around that.
Yes. Yeah. It's much more fluid now, you know, because I think I'm taking clients who are in their 30s and clients who are in their 60s and through the mix there into the same stores. But it's the way you put it together is different. And it's because, we don't want to look like, and I find this now, my daughter is 16 today. And I mean, I don't want to look like I'm wearing her clothes. Yeah. And
exactly.
but then there's not a lot of difference between some of our clothes. And similar jeans, similar sweatshirts, a lot of similar footwear. Footwear's a big one because, you know, we're all wearing those cool sneakers and things. And it's like suddenly you go, oh my gosh, I'm wearing an outfit that the 16-year-olds are wearing. But it's how you make it your own and how you make it feel elevated. And they're doing things that we're not doing and it's vice versa. But there's not a lot that's off limits as a woman, I think. Clothing wise, if it makes you feel good and you like it, it's about how you put it together and make it work. So we've got less rules now around that, but there are still tricks to it for sure.
There are definitely tricks to it. So back onto ADHD, because I've veered off as I do tangentially.
It's all right. We can.
And I'm
I think the people stay with us too because you know.
I'm meandering as I do, but I love how it's been a gift for you in the sense that suddenly you've been able to talk to young Heather, and bring her back and naturally rewrite the narrative.
Yes,
If there was, and I often ask my guests if there was one thing they would want to say to their younger self, and I think what would it be from what you know now?
I think I would want to say to her, like, you've got so much potential to do all the things, anything you want to try that's in you. I think because I thought I wasn't capable of the stuff I struggled with at school, which was, you know, like the more kind of written and technical classes like maths and science and that, and then I loved being in my art class and in my sewing class.
By the way, my art teacher gave me that.
It's beautiful. I thought that I wasn't any good at those things. And then it wasn't until I did a psychometric test, actually, when I was 21, and my results came through, and they were incredibly high in maths. I was like, Dad, look at this. It turns out I'm a maths genius. Like, I had been able to work these things out because I was concentrated, and I was now not in school in a like environment that I didn't enjoy, and I could sit and do it. And I was very, very good. And I was like, where was this when I needed it? Like, and when it mattered. And now it's here in the psychometric test for a job that I'm not going to use maths in. Like, you know, it was to see if I was a good fit with the stylist that was training me, and I was going to work. We did it purely based on, are we a good match, like, to work together. It was such a useful experience, actually.
For that reason,
But,
only if you're using it for that. Like,
yes.
yeah.
And I just couldn't believe it. And so I'd definitely say to her, like, it's all there. And so whatever you want to do, you can find a way. But it's not that you're not capable or that you haven't got the goods. It's just that the structure you've been within hasn't helped you.
The neurotypical structure of the education system. And our educators are lovely salt of the earth people, but they teach, because of the way they teach to fit within the norm of the bell curve of the way that most brains work, they're unable to actually help those that are on the ends of that bell curve. And someone with ADHD is twice exceptional. So they're exceptionally good at some things and exceptionally challenged in other areas. So it's not designed to meet that. And sadly, we haven't advanced. And workplaces are often designed as neurotypical systems as well. So you carved out a career that allowed you to sidestep that very cleverly.
I did. I sidestepped.
Yeah.
I dropped out of uni 3 times because I couldn't get through the classes that I didn't spark with, and so I would just go to the ones that did, and then I would be like, oh crap, I'm actually way behind. I better just call it while I can. And so I'd stop. And then I'd try again the next year because I'd have this time to think, and I'd be like, no, I really can do it. I know that I can do this. And I can. If I'd had those tools that I have now and things, I could. But you know, it's interesting. One of the most powerful things that I found on this journey with ADHD is the doctor who did my diagnoses. You know, we were chatting, and I was like, you know, he's like, I think that you knew this coming into this session. Shouldn't be a shock to you. I think you kind of knew. And I said, it's no shock. I'm just now like that it's actually presented to me. I feel like, oh wow, I just feel sad about, you know, the years. And he said to me, it was so profound and so simple. He said, your life would have been different, but there's nothing to say it would have been better. And I was like, oh, what a simple truth, and so clearly put. And it has changed the way I've thought about my journey and my career and my life, my 20s and 30s, and where I've struggled with things and where I've excelled at stuff. I look back and I go, I've had a very good life. There's nothing to say this knowledge would have made it better, just different. And it was a real release, I think, too, of holding on to that thing of like, I've been robbed of something. Because I've actually had to pave my way differently and sidestep, like you say. And maybe that was a better experience overall. I don't know.
Yeah. It's such a really interesting way to put it, and I think it's powerful. Like you say, it's insightful that, you know, we don't know what we don't know, and then we know it, and suddenly the pieces of the jigsaw puzzle fit together. I think that for this next generation coming through, where it's talked about so much more openly, there's a huge advantage in that they can understand their twice exceptionality, but also this post-truth world we live in is so full of misinformation as well. So there is a lot of traps there too that you can fall into of misinformation and heading down blind alleys. So I'm not sure that they've got it any better or any worse than we have. I think it is better to be more educated on it and to have access to information for certain.
So that you can live in a way that supports it as opposed to fighting the way your brain works. But yeah, I think, like you say, there is stuff out there, and yet it's so confusing for people on the journey. Yeah, or
So
hopefully in the trajectory of getting to better truths and like more information for people. Yeah.
Yeah. I think we're definitely getting more and more breakthroughs, especially with neuroscience, where we understand it's a brain architecture type. That actually it's only when we're navigating neurotypical systems that it presents as a disability.
Yeah.
It isn't a advantage necessarily, but when we can design a lifestyle in a way that suits our differences, then we are much better off.
That's right.
We're able to scaffold off our exceptional abilities, and the parts of us that are challenged aren't so challenged as a result of it.
And I think that's where wardrobes come into it, interestingly, because, I mean, we all have to get up and put pants on in the morning, and clothes.
Yeah.
Like, there's no avoiding it. Yeah. Even if we're just working from home, we still need to get dressed. And I think that understanding the way your brain works and what a person's needs are in the morning is so key. And I've enjoyed sort of relearning that a little bit in the last few years with my clients, because I sort of knew that stuff was there and I was responding to it, but now I know a bit more. I can really kind of narrow in on it.
Yeah.
And so I first noticed this when I started working with men, and the difference between men and women when they shop and when they get dressed in the morning. And it's a generalization. It's not all men, but shopping with men has always been fascinating, because they would go into the changing room and they'd call out, I need the other size. This shirt is wrong. Doesn't fit me. And then they'd take the other size and they'd put it on and it'd be great.
Yeah.
And there was never any issue with their body or themselves. The problem was with the shirt or the pants. And isn't it interesting?
Oh, that's interesting.
So the shirt didn't fit them, whereas most women would struggle and say, I don't fit this. And so the problem is with them. And so I really noticed this very quickly on in my styling, and was like, man, men are so black and white when it comes to shopping, and they're not taking on this emotional thing of, this is the problem is me, the problem is the garment. And they're exactly right. The issue is with the garment. And so I guess that sort of started making me notice more about the different way people will respond when something didn't work, and then also when something did and it worked really well, and they were just so relieved because they hadn't been able to sort that. And then it's gone into wardrobes, and like how I think everyone needs a different thing going on for them in the morning. Some people need less decision fatigue, so they need a much smaller wardrobe, and they just want to have everything there and they can see it, and there's nothing else where that they're thinking, in my other closet I've got that shirt, and would that look better? And they just want it just there, and they just want a formula, and they just want to go and know that it's all correct and it all works.
My worst nightmare, by the way.
Oh, yeah, because you feel so restricted. But for some people, that's perfect. And for some people with ADHD, that's perfect. And for others with non-ADHD brains, it's perfect too. So there's that operating. And then there's creatives who need a very big wardrobe like yourself, because they need to know that there's something there for them, for who they are today. Yeah. And that it's not limited. And then there's this sort of in between, and it's like they've got to have a little bit of both. They don't want too much, because then they're overwhelmed by the choice. But they can't have too little, because then they feel like they're lacking. And so, everyone's operating differently. But the wardrobe really does set them up for the day. There's just no denying it.
It's really interesting to hear how you've carved out this career, and also there's another side to it as well, which I love, because you give people an education, but also some real insight into how they can feel more comfortable being themselves.
Yeah.
And in a way, you're helping them unmask.
I hope so. Yeah, I hope so. And because, like we were just talking about earlier, I think we have these ideals of how we want to look and dress, and we often buy for that person. We're like, that's the person I want to be, and it sits there in the wardrobe. And that person doesn't just show up one day. We have to practice dressing to be that person, and they're sort of always there, just about out of reach. I mean, a lot of people are living it and enjoying their outfits, but for most, it's about, we do have to practice it a little. And so giving them those tools to work out what that person looks like and how to get there and how to do it is, it's important. It's a real joy. But I do think I think we need to give it more space.
Yeah.
I think it needs to be bigger. And because women particularly, we do go through seasons where we give up a little because it's really hard.
It's true.
It's really
it's
hard.
a real pressure to do that.
Yeah.
And I think that's when we need therapy.
Yes,
more than
we need
ever.
a bit of therapy.
Yeah.
And it doesn't have to be excessive. I'm never taking people on excessive journeys of gathering. It's very slow. It's very considered. It's very intentional.
Yeah.
But, we deserve to feel good when we head out the door or get ready for the day, because that's what we're worth, is feeling good. We don't have to go about feeling like, oh, this whole thing, or I don't need to look nice because I'm not the priority. I'm not the priority in my family. Other things are right now. And, so it doesn't actually take much, but we do need to make that choice and go
100%.
and worth this. And then, I do really feel for women now that I'm in that age and stage, and I see it more in myself, where our bodies, they portray us, they change on us without our permission and without any instruction. They just take it upon themselves, and in so many different ways. But if your clothing there, if it's not based on the fit, if it's based on what actually brings you joy and on your style personality, just circling back to that, that's why it's so important to me. Because your style personality and the things that bring you joy about getting dressed in clothing, they won't let you down like your body does, because that doesn't tend to shift and change. It evolves, but those things can always bring you joy. Whereas the body, if we're just relying on clothing being flattering or fitting a certain size or shopping from a certain store, when you can no longer do that, fit that size or wear that type of clothing, you can lose that sense of self. Whereas if you're basing your wardrobe on your style personality, it's as an expression of who you are, that won't let you down.
I wish you had a Instagram video series on this.
Oh, right.
It would be amazing to talk to you for hours, because there's so much you're unpackaging that's making my brain go ping, ping, ping.
I know.
ping.
We just wanted to, I could just jump around for hours as well. I will do that. Now that I have a bit more time on my hands, I will do that.
Please do.
Yeah, I would like to. And it's such a nice bit of knowledge to pass on to people, because it's translatable in everyone's lives.
And it's a real gift. It's a real gift. I think I listen to Trini.
Yes. Oh, I love
and I love her, because she just gets on and talks through an outfit and then explains why it matters to her, and makes you think about how you could change things. But what you have is next level. It goes deeper. It's personal, and it really is therapy. And I love it. It's fantastic. Thank you so much for joining us today. It's been an absolute honour to hear your story. And
loved it. Loved chatting with you.
Been great.
We could do it again.
We will. If you're up for it, we'll do it in a year's time.
Yeah.